In today's news, tax cut on remittance services cut from 7% to 3.5%. King Garden Bay Water Treatment Plant Commission. Government and BVIEC say they are in active discussions on solutions to ease the high electricity bills. Health professionals warn residents against using Fad Diets. Residency for the purpose of belonging is a privilege and not a right, says Premier Wheatley. Premier Wheatley is presently in the United Kingdom on official business, and the BVI International Tax Authority meets with financial services industry to ensure industry compliance.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, I can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you, you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Welcome everybody. It's Tuesday, July 26th, 2022. I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. A happy Tuesday to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Beginning our newscast on the local scene, Premier and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Wheatley, is currently away from the territory on official visit to the United Kingdom. While in the UK, Premier Wheatley will be engaged in a series of meetings with the chairman of the BVI All-Party Parliamentary Group, Mr. James Sutherland, MP, a discussion on future cooperation with Lord Mayor of Birmingham City Council, Ms. Maureen Cornish, a financial services briefing with Weber Sadrick, and engagement with the BVI diaspora in London. The Premier will also attend the Commonwealth Games in support of the territory's largest contingency to the Games. The 2022 Commonwealth Games, officially known as the XX, of course, Commonwealth Games, and commonly known as Birmingham 2022, is an international multi-sport event for members of the Commonwealth that is being held in Birmingham, England, from July 28 to August 8. Now, meanwhile, Deputy Premier, Minister for Communications and Works, the Honorable Kai M. Reimer, has been appointed to act as Premier and Minister of Finance from July 25th to the 29th, while Premier Wheatley is away from the Virgin Islands. Now, the Premier returns to the territory on July 29th. Honorable Reimer's appointment is, of course, in accordance with the Section 55 of the Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007, which states if the Premier is expected to be absent from the Virgin Islands for more than 48 hours, the Governor shall authorize the Deputy Premier to perform the functions of the office of the Premier, and the Governor shall revoke this authority on return of the Virgin Islands by the Premier. Residents utilizing remittance services have been given an ease by the Government of National Unity after Cabinet decided to cut the previously stipulated 7% tax by half. This was announced by Premier and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Wheatley, during a recent press conference. He said that by reducing the tax down to 3.5%, he hopes that the incentive result is more transactions occurring.
The Government of National Unity also recognizes that a large segment of our population utilize remittance services. These do not just include those persons who have families living abroad that they have an obligation to support, but Virgin Islanders who have children in school in the United States, in the United Kingdom and elsewhere, who send them some dollars periodically to help them make ends meet. In a recent meeting of Cabinet, we agreed to lower the tax on remittances from the present 7% down to 3.5% to help our students and families abroad to cope. While we are collecting less revenue, this lower percentage may encourage a greater volume of transactions, and this is in line with what was recommended before this initiative was introduced.
Premier Wheatley said the measure is just one of the many incentives by his government to cushion the rising cost of living stemming from the Russia-Ukraine war. During the aforementioned press conference, the Premier also announced the extension of all customs duty adjustments for an additional 3 months. Moving right along, the Cane Garden Bay Water Waste Treatment Plant was recently commissioned during a ribbon-cutting ceremony featuring Deputy Premier and Minister of Communications and Works, the Honorable Kai M. Reimer. It is intended that the treatment plant, valued at some $1.7 million, will help to address issues surrounding sewage management in the Cane Garden Bay area. On the occasion of its commissioning, Minister Reimer said that having been aware of the challenges faced by the community, it is critical that a timely, effective intervention be made.
Cane Garden Bay is a hub for regional and international visitors who seek to experience the authentic, pristine beauty, culture, and cuisine that the BVI has to offer. We are all aware of the challenges that we have faced with sewage in this area, and it was critical that we sought to remedy this problem. In this light, the Ministry of Communications and Works in 2019 embarked on a two-phase tender for the design and the building of a new wastewater treatment plant to replace the existing plant that was operating but not functioning at optimal capacity to service the need of this community.
Now, viewers, Minister Reimer noted that Phase 2 of the project consisted of a tender for the replacement and installation of the new gravity and pumping lines, lift stations, and a backup generator, all of which, he said, will aid in combating the core issue at hand: sewage collection, management, and treatment.
Sewage collection, management, and treatment is an underlying problem, not just here in Cane Garden Bay, but all throughout our island. Dilapidated infrastructure, aging pipelines, a growing population that adds stress to the systems are all key reasons why it is important and imperative to modernize our sewage network. When we got elected in 2019 on Tortola, there are 3 sewage plants and none of them were working. Well, I mean, Cane Garden Bay was working, but not to its optimal level. The general public may not be aware of all the works that it entails, but it requires countless man-hours to develop, design, plan for tenders, plan for the contractors, and finally to execute these works. I am pleased that by the end of this month, we will also be signing a contract for the repair of the Board Point wastewater treatment plant to remedy the treatment and sewage in the Rotown area.
During his presentation, Minister Reimer also took a moment to recognize the role of former Premier Andrew Foy and the Ministry of Finance in the success of this project.
I cannot, though, stand as minister and not recognize the work of the previous Premier, Andrew Foy, who made the funds available for this project. Yes, we can plan, but without the funds, we cannot execute, and I thank the Minister for Finance and the Ministry for the funds required, although we may not always get all that we need. But today we stand here and see the value on the ground in terms of what was here before and what is being delivered today.
Minister Reimer said that he was pleased with the outcome of this project and thanked stakeholders for the excellent execution of the design and build of the facility. Viewers, up next, government and BVIEC say they are in active discussions on solutions to ease the high electricity bills, and health professionals warn residents against using Fad Diets. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
You value traditions. Today, you value music. You value education, family. I love you. Service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Hello?
Wait, you're the lounge and you don't say you were sick? What happened to over in rehearsal?
No, babe. I'm actually watching the news right now. Take a listen.
Topping our newscast today, UFOs seen around Tortola Pier Park.
And district-free residents outraged over no water supply. They simply cannot bathe. These and more stories when 284 News returns. All right, babe, just get some rest, take 2 Advil, and I'll see you later. Bye.
Okay, honey. I see you later. I love you.
It's clear to see that Coconut Lounge is a place to be, the coolest cocktail lounge in the British Virgin Islands. A lounge like no other, with welcoming, professional service, and a breathtaking ambiance. Not forgetting a diverse selection of wines, beers, and signature cocktails. Cozy, comfortable, contemporary. Coconut Lounge at Tortola Pier Park. Visit us today. Viewers, welcome back and thank you so much for sticking with us. Continuing on the local scene here in the Virgin Islands, the Government of National Unity says they are in active discussions with the BVI Electricity Corporation and other relative stakeholders to decide what measures can be taken to ease the high electricity bills being faced by residents of the Virgin Islands. Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Wheatley, who is also the minister responsible for electricity, made the disclosure in response to questions posed by media recently. Premier Wheatley said while discussions are being held on the subject to provide a sustainable solution to all parties, one certain reality is that residents will have to endure the fluctuating cost of fuel.
We're having discussions right now about what can specifically be done about electricity and seeking to lower the cost, but persons must understand that, you know, the cost is directly related to the high cost of diesel, of fuel, of petroleum, right? And of course, you know, the Electricity Corporation will have to pass that on to consumers, even if we collect nothing at all from in terms of duty and things like that. The consumers will still feel the pinch because, you know, prices are high and we're importing it. So we are exploring what can be done within the very tight fiscal space that we have. We're not quite ready to make any announcements as yet.
In the meantime, Premier Wheatley said his government's long-term plan is to focus on renewable energy and initiatives which can contribute as alternate suggestions to fuel-based energy.
We have to explore what we can do in terms of alternative energy. Of course, we have the access to the sun, the wind, the water. We can't really control what's happening with the cost of fuel, but we can control how we utilize the energy from the sun and other alternative sources. And in addition to whatever relief we are exploring given as it pertains to electricity, we're also exploring how we can stimulate persons and encourage them to be able to have solar panels on their roofs, how we can put them on government buildings. We've put solar panels on a number of government buildings, either through partnerships with, you know, other stakeholders or through government directly. We want to continue with that.
On the matter of renewable energy, the leader of government business also touched on a number of existing initiatives that fall in line with his administration's renewable energy goal.
We remind persons we have the solar project in Anegada that, you know, will be getting off of the ground soon. And we have other things we've done, like, you know, brought in electric cars, duty-free, and other, you know, mechanisms for alternative energy can come in duty-free. So we're making some efforts, but I believe there are more that can be done, and we're having discussions right now between the Minister of Communications and Works, Minister of Natural Resources and Labor, myself, the Electricity Department, and other entities, how we can go more in the area of alternative energy.
As residents of the Virgin Islands prepare to partake in the festival activities, the Ministry of Health is urging persons to be conscious and careful of the measures they are willing to undertake to achieve the ideal summer body. Speaking on a recent installment of Health Bites, National Epidemiologist Harmony Messiah said that in the summer months, health professionals bemoan the increased popularity of several fad diets, which promise unbelievable results in very short periods of time.
Whenever I hear summer body and carnival body being lumped in together, we get very, very scared. Because with that comes a lot of these fad diets, a lot of these crash diets. And that is something we have been seeing over the last 2 months, roughly. When we saw the escalation, you know, here and there, over the year, you would see people talking about drinking this lasso tea and this slim fast tea and this green tea.
And the cabbage water.
And the cabbage soup water, these diets. But now we've really seen a ramping up of persons reporting that they're, you know, intaking these things so that they can lose weight rapidly. And we felt it was actually that time that we address these yo-yo diets, these fasts, these cleanses, these crash diets, and the impact it can actually have on your health post-intake.
Ms. Messiah lamented that more often than not, people fail to consider what they are sacrificing when they switch out nutritional meals for teas and juices made from ingredients with a very low calorie and nutritional content. Public health nutritionist Ms. Patrice Maduru shared similar sentiments and said that the issue at hand can be greatly attributed to modern-day demands for instant gratification.
Oh, well, as you know, we live in a period of time where everyone wants the quick fix. That's unfortunately the time that we live in. Nobody wants to put in the work to get the results that they want anymore. So this is one of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of the fad diets, even down to very dangerous types of plastic surgery to achieve the instant look that they want. But in terms of the fad dieting, a lot of the things that have been being reported, like Harmony said, a lot of the slimming teas, which are readily accessible in the BVI. You can get them almost anywhere. There's the cabbage soup, which I find that to be very interesting, because why would you want to drink cabbage soup for a whole entire day or for however long they take it? To me, that is just, oh, okay. And then we have, you know, the lemon one. What's
the spicy lemonade?
The spicy lemonade. And, you know, you think about the lengths that people would go just to achieve that instantaneous look.
Ms. Patrice Maduro warned that these fad diets are a getaway to severe health complications.
There is an impact, and if you do these things over time, you know, there's different stressors that you place on your heart, your circulatory system, and all of these things, your digestive system, the way your insulin rise and drop. And so these things can actually be precursors in itself to non-communicable chronic diseases that we already have a problem dealing with in the territory. So what should I say? When you consider doing these fad diets, you actually have to think, what are the long-term consequences of these?
In light of this, the public is being urged to refrain from participating in the dangerous practice of fad diets and to instead consult their medical practitioner for advice should they be interested in weight loss or a lifestyle change. When 284 News returns, the BVI International Tax Authority meets with financial services industry to ensure international compliance, and residency for the purpose of belonging is a privilege and not a right, says Premier Wheatley. We'll be right back after a short commercial break.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Brilliant Hands and Minds Tutoring Services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
The beautiful Virgin Islands, or nature's little secret as some prefer, where the weather stays warm and the drinks stay cold, where men in wigs get their lawyer bills paid by governments and governments lose planes, where walls are built and prisoners escape. You vacation where we suffer. BVI Love.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works. Viewers, welcome back and thank you so much for sticking with us. Residency for the purpose of belonging is a privilege and not a right. Those are the sentiments of Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalio D. Wheatley, who recently addressed the territory on the issue of immigration reform. Over the years, he said there have been various arrangements adopted in the territory to determine eligibility of residents for belongership. According to the Immigration and Passport Act, which was enacted over 20 years ago by the House of Assembly, known as the then Legislative Council, persons can apply for belongership status after 10 years of living in the territory. Citing concerns on the law being unsustainable, a subsequent government in 2004 adopted a policy to double the duration of the time required for applications and limited the number of persons approved annually to 25. Premier Wheatley said since then several international bodies have flagged immigration reform as a necessary venture for the BVI, citing concerns of legality of the policy being observed as opposed to the law which remains on the books. He said, and I quote, "The legality of that policy was questioned in a report by the Complaints Commissioner as early as 2013 due to its inconsistency with the law. The policy's contradiction of the law was also captured in the annual report of the International Institute 2012 and 2013. This problem was also picked up on during the Commission of Inquiry. Now, the Commission of Inquiry report recommended a review of the existing residency policy and processes for granting residency and belongership status, including the open discretion by Cabinet to grant such statuses and the length of residency required for belongership, among other things," Premier stated. Now, the Premier agrees that much like in other countries, residency status in the Virgin Islands is open to people who have integrated themselves into the society. He believes that the legislation currently in place suggests that the only consideration be made is the period of time they have been there, a poor representation of the true requirements in his opinion. He said, and I quote, "Both the existing law and long-standing policy are not fit for purpose and have been the cause of much confusion. The answer has always been to further amend the Immigration and Passport Act as opposed to the various fixes that have been tried." He continued by saying, however, as I said earlier, residency for the purpose of obtaining belongership is a privilege and not a right. It is not automatically given after a decade in the territory. So while applications for residency for such a purpose can be submitted as early as 10 years under the law, there is a process that must be followed to consider whether applicants have earned the privilege of being granted residency. The Premier further explained that in addition to the factors that would be specific to each applicant, immigration authorities must also consider the socioeconomic impact of granting new residencies. He says that this process must be done in a sustainable manner. Patriotism, he said, a sound knowledge and history of the Virgin Islands and your social and civic contributions to the society are all very important things, among other factors. Residency and belongership are privileges that must be earned. In addition, there is a socio-economic dimension that must be considered when granting residency for belongership in terms of what the society can reasonably accommodate and sustain over time. Dr. Wheatley expressed. He also asserted that the issue of immigration reform will be addressed by the government of national unity in a manner that is clear and fair, and in a manner that is socially and economically sustainable. Of course, those were the words of Premier of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Natalio D. Wheatley. The British Virgin Islands International Tax Authority Director met with financial services industry to discuss new legislation updates and compliance with international standards for tax purposes. ITA Director Latoya James spoke at the BVI Finance Breakfast Forum on July 21st, where she explained the ITA's role and provided context on the recent amendments being made to International Tax Authority Act and Mutual Legal Assistance Act, the BVI Business Companies Act, and, of course, other relative legislation, and how the amendments will affect the financial services industry and its clients. She explained that the BVI's membership in the OECD's inclusive framework on the base erosion and profit sharing and membership of the OECD Global Forum on Transparency and Exchange of Information for Tax Purposes requires the Virgin Islands to implement the 4 minimum standards that provide governments the tools needed to tackle tax avoidance. These are countering harmful tax practices, the prevention of tax treaty abuse, the country-by-country reporting, and the mutual agreement procedures. James also said that the BVI remains committed to changing information automatically under the Automatic Exchange of Information Standard amid the ongoing OECD reviews. Of course, this is from the Financial Services Commission. Now, between October 2021 to present, the BVI has been a part of 8 different reviews covering these areas, while some of these reviews are now to the BVI and other continuation of what we, the BVI, have been previously implementing. Viewers, that is all the time we have today. We want to thank you so much for tuning in for your daily updates, of course, local, regional, and international content. We are 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news right here in Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You've been watching 284 Media. A happy Tuesday to each and every one of you. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, Sonny. Good morning. Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun to people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?